Nope, I'm
It's meant
perfect.
to be.
I'm perfect.
You're perfectly flawed.
I'm perfect the way I am.
Says who?
Says my mom.
Your mom's dead.
That's besides the point.
She said it once. He remembers.
Did she used to say that? You're perfect the way you are?
Mm-hmm.
On her deathbed? Because that's something people say on their deathbed.
She really didn't have a deathbed? Or because she died in her sleep?
Hello, welcome back to Bardicaggravation. That's Rick. That's Brandon. I'm Kent. You know it. Or not.
Maybe.
Now you do. You just heard it. Of course they know it.
They should know it.
Why are you being so confusing? What are we doing today?
I don't know. What are we doing today?
I think we're going to talk about different paladins.
Paladins. Today's the Paladin video. So, as you've seen our other ones, or maybe this is your first one because you're only interested in the Paladin, then what we do is we talk about concepts. We're talking about concepts for these characters. We're not doing builds. We're not optimizers. We don't like that crap. If you know where the optimizers are, go find them. They can ruin your game for you very quickly. There's the stereotype of all of these classes, and people get stuck in those. I am guilty of that myself. It's fitting today that we're doing the Paladin because I've never played a Paladin because my mind can't release the idea of the stereotype of a Paladin. So, what is the stereotype of a Paladin?
I would say it's Mr. Good Guy. Mr. A-hole.
That'd be
Somebody
right.
that nobody likes. Yeah, nobody likes because you're always, I have to do the right thing. Always, constantly. Shiny armor, giant sword, and if anybody says something to you, you just thump them anyway. So you're kind of not a good guy, really, at all.
They're the knight in shining armor, the holier-than-thou warrior.
Yes.
They usually have a deity that they believe in and worship, and this is where they get their power from.
Everyone will know about the daddy.
That's true.
Everyone will know. They're one of those people. They're like a vegan. That's the Paladin. They have some magic powers because of their deity. Gives them some things. They're not full casters. Yeah, like you said, always wearing full suits of armor and holy. They can ruin a party,
Oh my gosh, a game.
and often do,
A whole game.
because they have this sacred oath and they must stick to this sacred oath. And if there's a rogue or a bard doing some fun shenanigans and put a stop to that, don't you? That's against my tenets of my god.
It's my way or the highway.
So I never wanted to play that at all, but it doesn't have to be that. That's just a guideline. As we've been saying in all these videos, these things they're just mechanics to you. So if you like the mechanics of it, what's the good part about Paladins? They do a shit ton of damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot.
Powerful.
A lot.
And they are a martial, straight up martial class that can use some magic. That's fun.
Yeah. They can heal and hurt. So it's a lot.
So what we're going to show you today are 3 different versions of the stereotypical Paladin. In the past, we've had one of us do the stereotype, which in hindsight is a dumb idea. Why are we going to make a character out of a stereotype? We can just tell you what the stereotype is, and we just did. You're welcome. So now we're going to show you 3 that aren't the stereotypical knight in shining armor, holier than thou. I'm going to tell that kind of,
I'm gonna tell.
teacher's pet. If you are going to play a stereotypical Paladin, how would you play that so you don't piss off the party? You don't
It would be
step
tough
on their
because
fun.
you almost gotta be that jerk. Maybe be the party leader with the focus in mind, but let everybody else do their thing.
Well, you said it before, I think, in other videos. But if you're making a vow or taking an oath, that's the important thing. So so it's you.
Right.
That's your thing. Everything else, who cares? Let them have their fun. But if there's just one oath that it's easy for the other party members to avoid stepping on the toes of or pissing all over,
That would help.
then okay, that could be used, doable, fun.
I think if you're playing a paladin, I think it's on you to try to find somehow to align your party's intentions with yours.
Yeah.
So you have this oath. You got to find something that you can hook into, rather than always being, no, we can't do that. No, we can't do that. Find that one thing that aligns with me. We can do that.
That's a good point. The no, no, no. That's what paladins do a lot. It's a yes and game.
Yeah.
Okay, so my paladin, his name is Julius.
Julius.
Like Caesar, like the salad.
That's not his last name. It's just Julius. He doesn't even have a last name. He's like Cher.
Ooh.
He doesn't need one. He's the only Julius in the whole land.
He's well known.
He's well known. Well, he is because
He can turn back time.
he's an executioner. Why can he talk? Share. I'm making a share.
Damn it, he left me hanging too.
Oh, was that a high five?
Yeah, it was a high five.
I thought it was a stop talking. Talk to the hand.
No, that was a high five because I like that one.
High five.
He's a what now?
He's an executioner.
What?
I don't want him to be that big brooding, stereotype. We're going away from stereotypes. So he's a nice guy. He's social. People like him. He just happens to be the executioner. So what happens is I'm just making him a human because I never make humans. So he's just a human.
Okay.
He was firsthand seeing all this corruption going on, right? The officials, the judges and the barristers and even the people in charge, the lords or the kings or whatever it was. And so personally for him, it'd be like he sees somebody get off during a trial. Not that kind of get off. He probably saw a lot of people getting off in the dungeons. What else are they going to do while they're waiting to be executed? So anyway, he sees this stuff. But, it's like, what are you going to do? This is life in the city, blah, blah, blah. But he doesn't like it. He doesn't like it at all. He likes punishing the bad guys. That's why he's an executioner. He really enjoys that. Somebody does something heinous and he just takes their head off or whatever, torturing them, whatever he needs to do, because it's great, because justice. He's all about justice. One day somebody gets off on a technicality or whatever it would be in those days because they're friends with either the judge or the ruler and make sure to let them free, blah, blah, blah. So this person's just a scumbag murderer or whatever, and they get free and they end up killing his family member, whether it's his wife or his something, mother. And he just tears this person. You done, Sully? So now this changes everything because this is the breaking point. He's hit his rock bottom. He's had enough, and he's like, so no more executioner. He now becomes basically. I wanted to make a vigilante, right? Like the Punisher, let's say,
Okay.
or from Death Wish, Charles Bronson. So that's what he becomes. He becomes as he starts going to all the darkest places when in this particular place and just looking for anybody that's causing trouble, and he just destroys them. But he also wants to take out the people in charge that allow this stuff to happen, the corrupt officials and stuff. So that's his thing, and he finds religion. So he always kind of was partial to the god of justice or retribution, comeuppance, things like that, because that's what he believes in. So now it's more personal in this relationship. Somehow it deepens it, and he becomes a paladin. He gets these powers to be able to smite. The hard part for me is, okay, why does he become an adventurer and join a party of adventurers? And the answer to that is, I don't really know until I talk to the GM and see what kind of campaign we're playing in. What's the world? What's the campaign? Do we have an idea of what we're going to be fighting?
How does he fit in?
Because if I wanted to keep it basic and generic, well, he's not an executioner anymore. He's not getting paid, so he's got to make money somehow. So he can take his violence and he can go join up with some adventurers and just make money getting treasure and getting paid to, excavate trolls or whatever. Extricate. You don't excavate a troll.
He could execute a troll, though, which he would be happy about.
But he's also not interested at all in killing monsters. He doesn't have any interest in that at all because he only wants to take out the bad guy. He's not interested in going into a dungeon and killing some monster that was just minding their own business. He's not a monster hunter or killer in any way, shape, or form. It's personal for him.
But that's a good way to join a party because you'd find the bad guys.
You'd find the bad guys.
You'd be with the people that you want to get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
You'd maybe go higher up because you're with a group and find those higher up corruptions because you can't find them by yourself.
That's the whole point. He's thinking, well, you could, because what I want his long goal to be and what he wants, because we always talk about the want. What does your character want? What do they care about and why? It's exactly that. So he's going to have one person in mind that maybe doesn't even live in the city he's in unless it's the big city, but in the land, maybe the king or a queen, some ruler that he knows needs to be taken out. And he's probably going to get himself killed in the process, but he doesn't care. So yes, it could be something like joining this party of adventurers will help facilitate that goal somehow, But again, this is what you talk to your GM about. Even the deity, like who would be the god or goddess of justice in this world? And tell me about them. And they give you the handout or the spiel. And then you go, okay, now I can create my character because I know who they're worshiping and why. And this god is also very interested in justice, smiting out evil. So then he gets the ability to smite. So his attacks with he's probably going to keep his executioner's axe, right?
Why wouldn't
that's
he?
cool.
Right.
So this can now be infused with this energy from this god when he's fighting somebody who is guilty of hurting the innocents. He can just smite and do all this extra holy damage or
That's a nice
whatever
limit, though,
kind
too,
of-
so you're not just smiting everything around you.
No.
You're smiting the guilty. You're
only
going
gotta be
after
guilty.
specific things.
If I try to do that to, like I said, just a troll and a
Who
thing,
cares?
it won't work.
Who cares?
Because your God's like, no, leave that troll alone.
We don't care about
You
the
walked
troll.
into his home. If that troll's running around killing people in the village, now you can smite it.
That's different.
So you're making it specific. So these smites mean something. It's not just, oh, look, I do extra damage. No, it means something because he can only, it's like this axe becomes this axe of truth or the Avenger axe or whatever it is you want to call it, right? He's all about protecting the innocent, these people he sees that get taken advantage of by the bureaucracy and by the criminals, and nobody's fighting for them. Nobody's protecting them. So that's what is important to him. Again, the whole vigilante thing. He's a paladin, but he's not going to call himself a paladin. Probably doesn't even know what that word means.
He would just call
He's an
himself,
executioner.
He would call himself Batman.
No. He's not, that's what I was going back to. So he's not this brooding loner. I wouldn't play him that way. That's boring. We see those all the time, especially if it's an executioner and just a big brooding. That can be fun too. I just don't want to create this character that way. So he's pretty social and he can hang out at the bar and drink and do games and things like that. But when it's time to take out the trash, he wouldn't be healing. He wouldn't be, maybe to heal people that were hurt by innocence or whatever, but I'm not going to play him as a healer. I'm not interested in any of that anyway, as you all know. But his stuff would be about, zone of truth, insight, whatever other things that would let him kind of be able to get the truth out of somebody. Maybe he's a torturer too.
Yeah.
So he can do
You
things.
should be able to do those
So
things.
he can torture the truth out of somebody, but you're really not getting the truth, are you? You're finally just torturing them until they say whatever you want. So yeah, that's my
That's cool.
paladin,
That's cool.
which is not a paladin. Again, what would he call himself? An executioner. I was an executioner. I was always an executioner. Now, what are you that you're not an official executioner? You're getting paid? An adventurer. That's probably what he'd call himself. I'm a mercenary. I'm an adventurer. I'm one of these things. Not a paladin. That's never going to come to his mind. Even though I'm using the paladin mechanics, I'm not playing a paladin. That's Julius, the executioner paladin. What do you got, Rick?
I'm up. All right, so my paladin's name is Areth Crimley.
Does he have a lisp?
He does have a lift.
He has a little bit of a lisp. He's a half elf. He prides himself on being super funny, super cute all the time. He has grown up in a family of clowns and jesters. His whole life is just making people laugh.
Already, he's not a paladin. He's a bard or an entertainer, right?
He's embraced this his whole life. Like, he's got a whole family that does this, and the best thing out of his whole life when he's grown up is making children laugh. He hates having to perform for people to get paid because he feels it's kind of crummy because they don't really laugh the way children do. Like, he thinks their laughter is like shallow, right? The rich people. So the kids, it's like genuine laughter. So one day, his family gets this job going to Duke. Who did I give this guy? I gave this guy some horrible name. Duke Reinhardt. They go to Duke Reinhardt's place to get paid. They don't really want to do it because they know he's kind of a douche, but they need the money. So they go there and he's performing with his family, his sisters, his brothers, his mom and dad. They're having a great old time, and he starts making this little kid laugh, and he's having a great time with this girl, just making her laugh, and she's the wine server. So she ends up spilling the wine all over the Duke. The Duke freaks out at that moment, grabs her, brings her to the middle of the room, and is like, I need you guys to dance while we whip her. And Areth just starts losing it. He doesn't understand. Areth starts losing it. And he doesn't understand what's going on in the room. And they tell him to start dancing and amuse everyone while she's getting whipped. And he doesn't know what to do. So his dad's like, just dance. And that's all I can hear is him saying, just dance. So he starts dancing. And as the tears are falling down his face and you can hear her getting whipped, his mind just fractures. Or he loses himself in that moment of pain and anguish going on around him. And when he finally stops dancing, he realizes that everyone in the room is dead and gone and empty. The room's empty. It's filled with bodies. His family's been killed. He danced there for hours. He could not stop dancing. He retreated someplace in his mind where his mind just shattered. Lost himself. Gone. Too much pain for him to even think about. He comes to in the room. The rich people have moved on. They've left the room, and he was just dancing the whole time. They called him the dancing fool. They laughed at him, made him jokes at him, threw things at him. He's covered in food and waste. And the servants sneak him off. And he doesn't understand what happened.
Yeah, I don't either. What happened? We don't know.
So he realizes that his whole family was slaughtered. The Duke was like, just kill them all. Because his family kept begging for them to stop. So they killed him. They killed his family. He didn't realize it. He was in his own little world, and now he's just nuts. Pretty much crazy. He's lost. His mind is gone. He's a gentle soul who was pushed in a place where he shouldn't have been.
Sounds like me on a Friday night.
So to go on from there, he wanted vengeance against the rich people. So he's a paladin who's sort of like, I'd base him on more like the Joker. He's totally crazy, wants to get close to all these people and just kill them.
These particular people?
Anybody that makes fun of the weak and mocks children and takes advantage of people. So they trotted all over his family, so his whole life goal is just to get back in there and kill Duke Reinhold. He sort of walks around like, what's that guy from the Terrifier? Art the Clown?
Yeah, just...
He's smiling, happy, he makes stuff for people, but then he sees the person he needs to kill and he just walks up, he's like, ha 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 ha. So I don't know what his god would be. Maybe a god of trickery, lies.
I mean, that's a really cool and compelling character. I love that whole backstory. That's so cool.
Kind of
So
similar to yours.
why did he want to be an adventurer then? I mean, again, you don't have to know. Cause
He does. He just wants to get close to these nobles, back up to where he was. He's been around some of them, and they don't even remember him. He's like nothing to them, and it pisses him off that he does all this for everybody, and everybody else serves these people, and they don't care.
Does the story end when he kills Reinhold?
I don't know.
Or is he going to just figure out, like, there's so many other of these nobles that mistreat people that I have to go after
Maybe he'll
everybody?
just kill more of them.
See, because here's another solution if you're having trouble. Like, why would my character join a party of adventurers? What Rick implements a lot as a DM, and our whole table kind of does, is try to have a shared backstory before you start. Not in every campaign, but in a lot of them, how do they know each other? So if you're like, well, my backstory could be linked to yours, now I'm going to join this party because of you, or vice versa. Like, you could even go, you get this Reinhardt guy. I could go, well, I'm my guy. We're in the same party. We made these characters. I'm like, my guy's looking for a fucking corrupt noble that he needs to kill, and maybe it's the same person. So now we can accomplish this together. You can do that kind of stuff. Just join a backstory with another characters, and now they roped you into this party of adventurers. Just one option.
And his stuff would be like illusion, trickery. It wouldn't be like the typical paladin crap where you're trying to heal people all the time and do all this stuff. Right? His smite would be when he's able to get a sneak shot off on you and stab you in the throat. You know, when he's dispensing this justice that he feels like he's giving out, which maybe to everybody else it makes no sense at all what his justice is and what his line is.
What is he then? He's not a paladin, right?
He'd be more dexterous.
Entertainer.
He'd be an entertainer. He's more
Dexterous?
of a... Dexterous, yeah.
Dexterous.
You thought that was the right word, didn't you? You didn't even flinch.
It totally is a word.
Dexterous.
Dexterous
He's
is a word.
dexterous.
He's dexterous.
Oh.
Look at him. He fixed his own problem. Didn't even have to look
like
anything up. No
Dexter.
Google, nothing. Just his brain worked.
He wouldn't be the front liner with armor on all the time. He'd be wearing lighter stuff.
So he's entertainer.
I'm an entertainer, yeah.
Entertainer assassin, entertainer killer, things like that. He wants to entertain while he's...
He's an entertainer for sure.
So
That's his
yeah,
whole
not
life.
a holy paladin.
Making balloon animals.
Because my guy, he's a vigilante. Your guy is a interesting paladin concept. It's not a paladin.
It's totally opposite of a paladin. I tried to go opposite of what I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Like, let's just use those mechanics and try to do something different.
That's all we're doing. We're just using the mechanics, people, to create a character concept with this particular set of mechanics. That's our challenge. What did you do to make a paladin mechanic character that's not a paladin per se?
So I took...
Prepare to be disappointed.
Shut up. Every single...
Watch, he's probably going to be
Not really every
Dragonborn.
time.
Here we go. Dragonborn, right?
Probably a protector of the mortal realm.
Oh, you guys are so smart! You guys are so smart!
See, poor Brandon was dumb enough to write his idea up on the whiteboard behind the camera. He wanted it to be a secret.
I don't want it to be a secret.
He just told us not to look at it. What do you do when somebody tells you not to look at something?
Don't look at
You
it.
look.
Okay, so my paladin, that's not a paladin.
Okay.
His name is Kindraga. I had to think of that for a second.
Kindraga? You got to say it like that?
No, it's Kindraga.
Kindraga.
Kindraga. Draga is short for Dragonborn. He is a gold Dragonborn.
Ooh, I like the gold.
So he's very golden.
like that.
He's... Think of him as
A James Bond villain.
gold scales, very shiny, carries a big battle axe that has blood red gemstones.
My guy carries a battle axe. Why you gotta copy me?
Okay, he carries a big battle hammer.
Okay.
with
a red gemstone.
With blood red gemstones, okay?
Blood red.
So he is a protector of the mortal realm. Think of him like Heimdall. Who he's like, in his everyday life, he's a medium. He's basically can talk to the afterlife. Think of him as a gatekeeper to the spirits coming to the mortal realm, okay?
So he's Hoffer.
No.
Is that what Hoffer could do?
Hoffer harnesses the spirits. So his whole life he grew up hating evil spirits. So he's got to be the stopgap for the mortal realm, keeping the spirits out. Okay, he is that guy.
How's he doing this?
So he's got that medium. He can speak to or sense when there's evil coming through the realms. Not the realms.
Different planes?
Planes, yes.
Okay.
So he can sense and stop it.
How?
Well,
with his hammer, right? This is hammer.
Well, his hammer.
His face?
His hammer. Yes, his hammer
Space hammer.
is part of it. He can banish them back to their realm.
He's a hunter.
How does he do this?
What do you mean?
How does he banish them to their realm? Does he have the banishment spell?
Yes. So the overarching theme, what you don't know and what he doesn't know, is he keeps getting these little whispers.
Like the Whispers bard that you created.
Oh my God.
In fact, the video that comes out before this one is the bard, which is where you talked about your College of Whispers bard that could talk to spirits from the other world. But this one's a dragonborn. It's completely different.
So different.
This is a paladin.
Those two were great, guys.
No, come on. I know you're going to get to the point where it's like, oh, that's not like Hoffer at all.
No,
What is it? So what does he do?
So this whole time, his whole life. Now, mind you, he's a dragonborn. He's lived several hundred years. So all these years, he's getting these small whispers, and he doesn't know they're whispers, but they're from this evil lich that's from another plane. But this evil lich has been telling him sob stories about how he used to be a mortal human, right? That was killed, and his soul was dispatched into another plane, and he wants to come back. Instead, and it's been so long, and he listens to the sob story, and he starts to have sympathy for him. But he is going against, or is thinking about going against his oath of protecting the mortal realm to let this guy in, because of course everybody should have their own vengeance or revenge. So he lets this spirit in, and in doing so, that's where he gets his smite power. His smite power becomes necromantic. So instead of being a protector, he becomes a killer.
And he knows this? He does this consciously?
He doesn't know that it's going to happen. So he goes to save somebody by using lay on hands, and actually, he smites them with necrotic energy.
So he just kills people.
Accidentally.
He's a menace.
But when he does it the first time, and he's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe what I did," the whispers and the dark entity says, "This is great. This is going to help. This is going to gain power. You're going to keep doing this." And he keeps doing it. And he keeps liking it. And he gets more stronger. And eventually...
More stronger.
Even more strong.
More stronger.
Eventually, they find and kill...
Him?
The dude that killed the liches... The lich.
Who does?
The paladin.
Your
Kindraga.
paladin kills the lich? At first level?
Kills the murderer of the lich.
When the lich was a person.
Before they were powerful
or he
lich.
Killed the lich.
No, the lich came across as not a person.
Right. No, I mean when the lich died, he was banished as a lich or a person.
So he gains these powers. He starts becoming almost like a necromantic sorcerer, where he ends up animating dead things. Smiting and animating.
So, here's a question. Why would you need the paladin mechanics to play this character? Why wouldn't you just make it a necromancer?
Because paladin mechanics will give you that heavy smite, and everybody loves a heavy smite.
You're building an entire character around a smite?
Yes. Why wouldn't you?
So is he the bad guy that we want to fight?
No, he's not, because...
I feel like you guys are the Brotherhood of Evil mutants.
That's possibly what. Maybe the evil guy that killed the lich, the lich, was Reinhold.
That would be cool.
That's a potential and then the same guy.
I don't know if Reinhold's 5,000 years old.
Okay, well you can work out the semantics of it, but yes, I mean
he could be, I guess.
he goes from being a protector to being bringer of death.
By my point, are there any other aspects of a paladin that you'd be like, this is cool, like the aura? Paladins are famous for
Imagine
this
his
stupid
undead
fucking
aura. You just probably kill shit walking around.
Oh yeah, forgot to mention
Undeath
that.
aura.
When he kills
Wow,
things,
that would have cleared everything up.
It gives life to the lich. So lich every time he kills something, the lich beseeches power from it and becomes more mortal as it goes.
So he's not good at all. He just wants power.
True.
But he doesn't. So this fucking lich, we got to deal with this lich now. This lich deity of yours.
From the start.
But the lich doesn't have any other motives other than going after the person that it killed. So it wants this, and now it whispers, and so eventually it becomes like a nagging thing in the back of his head. I gotta find this person. I gotta find whatever this is. But it's not like he's saying, be evil, kill everything.
No, that's Brandon.
So for the astute of you and those of you that are paying attention, this wasn't planned, but we all pretty much created paladins that are based on some form of vengeance. I think this is interesting because it almost feels like we don't discuss these things beforehand, but I find it interesting that we wanted to make a variation on a paladin, which is the Dudley Do-Right thing we talked about beginning, and they're all kind of this oath of vengeance. So it's almost like the paladin is one or the other. You can come up with other ones, but then you are talking about being a necromancer or being a warlock or being a cleric.
You live by your oath.
You live by your oath, and the oath can be very limiting. It can be fun. Any character can make an oath, right? Anybody.
Right.
To anybody, their family, or to this or to that. They made this promise that they're going to make sure they carry through and not break it. That's a hero a lot of the times anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I find it interesting that we all made something that's pretty much based in getting revenge.
And all pretty much dark. You're an executioner.
They're all dark because Paladin's so bright and shiny normally. So we had to go a variation on a Paladin. Can you make a bright, shiny one that's not Paladin-y? I guess, but then why don't you just, because that's what why don't you just play this class then? I don't know. I want to smite. Do you want to just do more damage?
Yeah.
No. That's no reason to build a character around.
Fighter, right? And just who prays.
You could just play a fighter. He could play a bard. I could be a fighter or a barbarian. It's like, so it's, I don't know. Interesting experiment here. Hopefully you've all learned something. Not the thing we meant to teach you. I don't know. Tell us your ideas for paladins that don't have anything to do with revenge and aren't bright, shiny, deadly do-rights. What's there in the middle that we're missing? I know there's got to be something. So that's the crux of this whole thing is that, yes, the thing that distinguishes a paladin from all the other characters, not mechanically. Mechanically, it's just they're very bunch of damage dealing crap.
That's what you are, yes.
But as far as what makes them a paladin, it's an oath.
It's an oath.
It's just the oath. So if you want to play a character that has this binding oath that they've made, then maybe the paladin is the one for you. So yeah, it just comes down to that. It comes down to the oath. That's your paladin. Either way. So even our vengeance ones, they were a bit different, but they all made an oath. Whether it's a personal one just to themselves, or whether it's to another being, which is typical of a paladin. Your jester guy wasn't so much that. My guy was. Yours was. So those are the kind of parameters you can play within when creating a paladin or playing a paladin. But it's still as loose as you want it to be, other than the fact that you have an oath. Yeah, there's the paladin. It's a bit of a conundrum sometimes.
Definitely powerful.
Very
Definitely
powerful.
can be fun to play if you could find a different twist on it.
In DC-20, it's a subclass.
Yeah.
In Pathfinder and D&D, it's a class on its own. It should be a subclass of fighter always, because it's a fighter who has an oath. That's all it is.
Specialized fighter.
An unbreakable.
And they have a little bit of cleric magic to mess around with. So, but we appreciate you guys very much.
Yes.
It means a lot to us every time somebody watches our video and comments on our videos and all of that stuff, likes it. So keep that up. Bye.